Now, Amani Hansberry is not a guy who has really been on draft boards. Is really you're going to see a lot in draft conversations. He's heading to Illinois. He was the Maryland Gatorade Player of the Year. He played on Team Durant with Trenton Flower, with Kwame Evans, Trenton Flowers, who has just been in the news, headed to the NBL. And straight up, I think he was the best player on that team.
Yeah.
And I know we were texting a little bit back and forth. One of the things that, as you watch him, if you go back and you try to find some of that high school film, one of the things that you'll notice is there's his body leaves a little bit to be desired. He's a little flabby, a little pudgy, but we were texting back and forth earlier today. My dude's been at work on the grind in the summer, and you can go to his Instagram and you could see the body transformation that he's, worked on over the summer, where now he's like shredded.
Yeah.
And I think that when you watch some of his film and you look at some of the limitations that he had on the film, a lot of it is just straight up because he was carrying a little bit of extra weight. That split second, maybe he's a little bit late on a contest. Maybe the fact that he's a little too upright at the end of a game because he maybe is a little bit more gassed than you would like him to be. And I think that body transformation is really going to help him. Now, look, he's going to have Coleman Hawkins in the front court there, but I think this kid is just, his feel is so high. And I think that he's somebody that is going to be hard to keep him off the floor.
Yeah.
And also, Coleman Hawkins is there, but there's not a lot of size on this Illinois team, on this roster as constructed right now. And I think even if he isn't starting this year, which I could foresee him doing, whether it's beginning of the year or by the middle of the year, I just think that it's a great spot for him, as he kind of does a lot of similar things to Hawkins. So you can already kind of see how he's going to be used, and I think he's going to get minutes regardless because of how the roster is constructed. So he was either like the 50th guy on the ESPN Top 100, or he was like 65, whatever it is. Very underrated, but there's just a lot to like, especially when you consider how forwards play in the modern NBA today.
Dude, I think he was a really interesting scout. I read an article on him actually about how when he first joined Team Durant, that UIBL situation, I think he joined that 1200 team early on, and he didn't have like a rock solid college offer until like his sophomore junior year. And going back and watching his tape, Corey, like the body transformation, actually for me, like you could even see it back in 2022 when he was playing for the Durant team. He was still a little bit pudgy, had, like you mentioned, was carrying a little bit extra weight. And then you see him this year, 2023 UIBL stuff, he looks much slimmer. Like it's actually kind of jarring to see how his body has changed. And then you sent that photo of what he posted on Instagram. He's even more shredded now. So like in a lot of ways, I feel like what we've seen so far and what we're going to see during his freshman year in Illinois, I think is going to be really different in a lot of ways, just because his body has changed so much. Like I don't even know how to quantify what that's going to look like and the type of effect it's going to have on his game. I think the first thing that stuck out to me, Corey, seeing him in the UIBL stuff, he played with KJ Evans for a couple of years. It made me realize like KJ Evans is actually gigantic, because I see Hansberry as like a 6'7", 6'8" guy, and Evans looks like a foot taller than him. I'm like, dear God, like KJ is going to be huge. But Hansberry, obviously, like with him, the first thing that I noticed with him that I loved was I think he's got like ladders for arms. His arms look crazy long, dude. His length feels amazing. But before we get into the nitty gritty, I just wanted to say, I just kind of wanted to go along with what you said, Corey, like a guy that was super underrated. College offers came really, really late. But a guy who developed a ton, playing UIBL as well, and got some more exposure there, hit a game winner last year that kind of really put him on the map, played well in a couple of games. And I think he's going to be a guy that more people are going to come to know his name pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if we're breaking down his game, kind of the first aspect in where to start is I feel like he's really comfortable in like the mid-range area.
Mm-hmm.
I think that and what I like about it is he doesn't like he operates from the elbows and he's got good playmaking feel, which we'll touch on later, but it opens up a lot. And I think it's something that's going to be able to extend because I think he's got good touch as a shooter. He's not there yet, but his touch is really soft. So in this opening clip that we're going to break down, he literally just gets the ball at the left elbow, jab step, knocks down a little jumper. And what that is going to do is, now you kind of have to play up on him, right? Yeah. You have to respect it, and you have to start guarding him a little bit different. So one more time, catch, turn, easy, efficient offense. So now he's going to come down, right? And if he gets the ball in a similar spot, you have to respect that he could hit the shot. So now he's going to take it off the bounce, and look at that footwork. That spin getting all the way to the rim and finishing with the left. Now he's not bouncy, doesn't get a lot of air and hang time on this.
Could change now though.
It could change. I don't think he's going to be a super athlete just because he got in better shape, but I think he'll be quicker and a little bit
inches maybe,
and even if he's just a little bit quicker off the ground in some situations, but that skill, that footwork, that touch, really impressive there. And then, you look at that spin, and then he even has another counter off of that same play type. So he finishes with the spin. Now let's go to the next clip. Similar situation, similar spot. Okay, I'm going to try to, let's see. Oh, I got bumped off my spot, so let me hit that little turnaround now. And because, especially, here where he did have a little bit on him, he can get physical. I like the physicality. And now that's going to be strength. He's going to be able to move guys a little bit easier when he bumps, puts that shoulder down into him. But the counters off of that is what I really like because he already kind of feels comfortable in an area.
Corey, I wrote in my notes, my favorite thing about him is his footwork in the paint.
Yeah.
This is the worst example, and you're gonna freaking laugh at me, but like in some senses, it reminded me of like Mo Taylor back in the day. Like I remember when the Knicks traded for Mo Taylor on the Rockets, the only strength that they had with him was that he had it was a fun post scorer and a great feed, and I was just like, Hansberry with him, dude. Like for his size, he's not the biggest guy. Like I want to throw that out there. I saw him listed as 6'6" on certain websites, 6'7" at certain websites. So he's not a gigantic guy, but you look at his physicality, right? The long arms, the footwork that he has, he's going to do some damage. And what I wrote here in my notes is for his size, I really like his ball skills, dude. Like he can handle the rock. He's not Jarris Walker, but I mean, at the same time, not everyone's going to be Jarris Walker, but look at that move, dude.
It reminds me a little of Jarris.
Yeah, well, I have a different name that I want to throw. I'm going to wait a little bit to throw. Yeah, I'll say it now. I wrote here. He reminds me of Jabari Walker a little bit. Was what I wrote. Not one for one, but yeah, I thought of Jabari because a little playmaking. That we'll get into. You got a little bit of that. Good footwork and hit the mid range. But yeah, I just think like he's a guy who, in my opinion, played within himself. Like knew his strengths. Knew how to leverage, footwork, head fakes, hesitations, jab steps, all that stuff to make up for the lack of explosion that you're talking about. But then again, once again, Corey, now that his body's better, right? Maybe he is a little bit quicker, maybe gets a little bit higher. That makes him that much more exciting. So I'm with you, man. Really fun guy, but the footwork was what really stuck out to me.
Yeah, and you see it on full display here. Little step back, pump fake, step through, and then the touch finish. This is a super advanced shot. And he's probably 17, maybe he's 18 here, right? Like this is a U17 game, like really impressive stuff. Now I think the question going forward regarding the shooting, because we saw him operate there so well in the mid-range in a whole number of aspects, a whole bunch of counters, is like, what does he look like when he extends that range out, right? And if he could do that, I think this is how he really gets on radars. So radars, let's see, he's getting a little pick and pop. I believe that's Liam McNeely. Helps too much, and he knocks it down. He's got that high arc right? Like the form isn't like picturesque, but it's not like bad by any means, right? Like shoots it high release.
Yes.
I think I would like maybe even the footwork, like good balance. Like I don't, it's a pretty clean shot. Again, it's not Clay, it's not Ray Allen, whatever, but like it's something to work with, right?
No, I'm with you, Corey. But I will say what I wrote in my notes here. I thought the shot looked a lot better when he was open than when he was guarded, which is okay. Like that's
Yeah.
just where he's at in his development right now. That's just something he's going to have to work on, continue to get more comfortable shooting from the outside with a hand in his face. But what I agree with you on, Corey, 100% is I think there's a good foundation there. There's something to work with. And put up a clip of him throwing the air ball. But I'm with you, Corey. It's something he's got to work on. I thought he I don't know how to describe this, but I thought sometimes like when he was shooting from outside, he'd get a little narrow at the top. Like it felt like he was squeezing out every bit of, power that he had to shoot from outside, which just kind of shows that he's not super comfortable shooting from out there. But that's something he's going to work on, that he's going to get better. He's going to get more reps shooting from outside. If he's going to play with the Coleman Hawkins, I think him continuing to work on, shooting from the outside is good. But also, Corey, even if he doesn't have, like a lights out outside jumper to start with, I thought he was a smart mover without the ball. I thought some of his reads, making those cuts, just moving into the right spots on the floor, I thought was really good, which kind of speaks to his intellect, dude. I think he's a high IQ player that, Corey, sometimes you think the game fast. You don't need to be super fast, or you could still play fast, as Professor Talaba always likes to say. And I think Hansberry is one of those guys.
Yeah, when you think the game fast, you could play the game slow.
Yeah.
And I definitely think he is. Like, we've just shown him shoot a guarded air ball, from the right wing like 14 times. So like you said, he's definitely got that to work with. But then one of his other major skills as a scorer is he has a really good offensive rebound. Like he just has a nose for the ball to take advantage of these garbage time opportunity, or not garbage time, but like cleaning up the garbage around the rim.
Yeah.
And even here, like he's gonna scoop the rebound up off the glass. He's gonna slam it home with authority, but like maybe an inch or two more, and it's like, oh yeah, like that's the difference between him and Jarris.
Yes.
Is Jarris would eat that thing alive and bury it through the rim. It's a little bit different, but he just has a really good knack for timing, and then the fight and that kind of feel, and like the touch to like right here, like he's tapping the ball to himself. He just wins, and then left hand kind of turnaround. These are winning plays, man.
I wrote in my notes too, Corey. Good activity on the boards is what I wrote. And I love it, dude. Like it's a heart thing. It's a desire thing. As I was doing the Hansberry scout this week, it reminded me of how you felt about Fierro last week. I think Hansberry is one of these guys. He's going to play really hard. His coach is going to fall in love with him, because in every practice, he's going to be slamming the floor. He's going to be playing really hard, going after every loose ball. He's just a dog. He's an absolute dog. And I think those are the types of guys that end up finding the floor. Yeah. If you play hard, if you're living on the floor a ton, you're going to be on the floor. Coaches love that shit, especially college coaches. They love those guys. And with Hansberry, it's not just an effort thing, right? He's got skill to him for his size. He could do things with the ball in his hands. It's when you have that type of activity, it's hard to not fall in love.
Big time. And this is what I think is going to make the draft community at large fall in love with him. He can really pass that rock.
Yeah.
He's got some really good vision here, man. This time, high school season against Montverde, just a laser. The timing, he's at the top of the key. And this is, where you see a lot of these modern bigs operate, and just beautiful dime to the cutter. That vision it's sick stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, Corey, that's why I brought up a name like Jabari Walker, and you're mentioning Jarris Walker, these guys that, and the reason why I brought up Jabari is because like Jabari's also kind of undersized too. And so
Mhm.
if Hansberry could be like that, right? Kind of undersized, but makes up for it with IQ, with length, with passing feel, with shooting eventually, like, oh, look at that dime, dude. And the thing about passing, Corey, that sometimes I think gets underappreciated, which we've talked about before as well, is accuracy, dude. I know Maxwell has talked about that a lot as well, like, because there are guys that can make the reads, but if you can't get the ball where it actually needs to be, that's kind of where you get the difference between like good playmaker and elite. And Hansberry has, like, look at that. The accuracy of that's awesome. The timing, the vision, the anticipation, all that stuff, dude. He's on the right side of the floor, keeps his head up the whole time. Just absolute perfect, inch perfect bounce pass to his man. And I think with Hansberry, he's one of these guys, man. I think the accuracy with his passing is really, really great. And so if he's going to be like a connective four type of guy, you can run pick and roll, pick and pop. Also, as you mentioned, get the ball to him off of, a little short roll, and he can make some decisions. Draft community loves a weak side hit. But if Hansberry's going to have that, dude, we're talking about a really fun, versatile guy. And, I don't think he's Jarris on defense, as good as Jarris was on defense. But if Jarris can go that high in last year's draft, Hansberry can go pretty high as well, I think.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have the athletic pop that Jarris had. Like, when we get into his defense, which we'll, cover fairly quickly, you could tell that he's got good instincts and he's long and he knows where to be and all that. But like Jarris had athletic tools, and as we had a anonymous prospect last year tell us, he was just intimidating to look at. In a way that Amani differs from him in that regard, because he just isn't that physical presence. Although, maybe he keeps putting time in the gym. Maybe I don't want to put a ceiling on him in that regard. But yeah, the playmaking feel, the vision, and I think that, in the NBA, you'll see him used a little bit more often in those short roll situations. So really exciting offensively as like a role-playing connector who, can really just fill it up and do a little bit of everything. Here, switching over to the defense, end of the game, right? His team up 1. He's going to switch onto Omaha Blue, which we're big fans of. Stays with him.
Great.
Just
great.
Big time defensive possession there in a big time moment with less than a minute on the clock. And you see, that mobility, that IQ, the willingness to embrace physicality and then just not foul in a really tense moment. And understanding the refs might swallow the whistle a little bit too, so you could be a little bit physical. So just really, really good stuff there.
No, I'm with you, Corey. Also, an interesting thing with him that I noticed when he goes out to contest threes, I think it was like it might have been like a body thing, but he was like late sometimes. But there are times he'd get out there with two hands like together and just like lunge out trying to block like this, which I thought was really interesting and kind of weird at times. But man, the thing with him defensively though is he doesn't have the fastest feet, but they're active. I also think he uses his length really well to contest shots. And he's going to make guys, it's going to be difficult to shoot over him because of his length and activity. I like that he gets in his stance a lot. He wasn't always doing like kind of the bend over, half-ass type of thing. So yeah, I mean, the heart is there. The desire is there. And now if his body is going to catch up to some of that a little bit, he's going to be a really intriguing prospect.
100%. Let's finish up one last clip for Amani Hansberry. And this is kind of like just a great clip in general. Switches off, right? Sends 2 to the guard, recovers back down to the key, uses his length, gets up, blocks the shot. So, able to do a lot of things that you're looking for in a modern big there on defense. And again, it's going to be even better as he gets more polished. As he ages, and then him being in overall better shape there. So I'm really, really intrigued and excited by the prospects of what he could be, because I really think that he's the kind of guy that he could be that Bryce Sensabaugh, potentially that Taylor Hendricks, that guy who was, on the outside looking in on these boards coming into the year. And then all of a sudden we look up and it's December, January, and we're like, we got to start paying attention to this kid. Let's keep an eye on him. Let's be, skeptical. And then all of a sudden he just keeps being awesome. And by the time June rolls around, he's somebody that is just really popular in the community.